Let's talk about the State of the Union. President Obama mounted his defense of his program, stood in the well of the House of Representatives this week. One of the things he said is he is going to get a health care bill through. Do you think that's possible in light of the Scott Brown election?
I don't think he got the message from Massachusetts. You know, when President Obama was elected, I think a lot of people in the Democratic Party took this as a mandate for socialism. And I don't think that's at all what it was. I think it was an affirmation of the dignity of all people and the attempt to bring, build a bridge between races. I think that was the overwhelming impulse on the American people. I don't think it was as refined and ideological as the Democrats have proven themselves to be in this last year.
What do you make of the spending freeze? You watch economics and debts and the crushing deficit and debt burdens that we're carrying as a country and the constant borrowing. What do you make of the president's plan this week? He's freezing spending on certain programs.
On certain programs, yeah. You have to watch the bouncing ball. The programs that are most deleterious to our economy, these entitlement programs, are not going to be touched by this. It's going to be security, which he couldn't possibly have said that he was going to have a spending freeze on security in light of all of the attacks or attempted attacks. So I think you have to keep your eye on the ball. And the real discouraging part of this speech was the presumption that Washington is the source of job creation in this country. And that is a deadly mistake to make on an economic level.
What about the targeting of banks and Wall Street this week?
The vilification of Wall Street.
But the president is saying he's just getting the people's money back. That's all he's trying to do here.
Well, first of all, he shouldn't have given it to them in the first place. Why get it back and get it taxed? And this is at a time when it becomes a drag on the economy as a whole. If you really were interested in jobs creation, ask people who have small businesses what they want. What they want is less regulation, less tax burdens. That will enable them to hire more people, and that's the engine of the economy, not bureaucrats and programs.
The peculiar thing is, a few weeks ago, the president was urging the banks. He had a big summit at the White House, begging them to loosen the lending and the credit, because you want to see houses built, we want to see businesses start. Yet
this is what got us into the problem in the first place.
Yeah, the government.
And then the next day, after denouncing the lobbyists, he invites them to a conference call. All of these lobbyists who are sitting on, what is it, K Street?
K Street, yeah.
K Street here, calling into the White House after he's denounced them all.
Ah, the ways of Washington. Ain't it grand? There was another moment where the president, during the State of the Union, called out the Supreme Court and a recent decision of the court. Watch the reaction of Justice Sam Alito.
With all due deference to separation of powers, last week the Supreme Court reversed a century of law that I believe will open the floodgates for special interests, including foreign corporations, to spend without limit in our elections.
You saw Justice Alito's face there with the not true, simply not true. I mean, this is a very, I know Sam Alito.
It's a very
I've met him.
Spontaneous response. I mean, everybody else is applauding with the president, saying, why can't somebody just say, I don't go along with this? Besides which, you'd think that a law professor, which the president was in a former life, would have read the decision, because in I think it's 8 or 10 or 11 places in the decision, it clearly says that this does not apply to foreign nationals. So it's just a factual mistake, the accusation. Not only that, but this unprecedented direct attack on the Supreme Court during the State of the Union address. Even FDR, who attempted to stuff the court, stack the court, never did that. And so this is really quite
when I heard him begin to make this statement, I thought, what's really happening here? This is really causing a constitutional crisis. When you have branches of government pitting themselves against each other, the Supreme Court has no way of enforcing its will. It relies on the House and the Senate and the executive branch to defer to those opinions, because they are the final word on what's constitutional or not. Here you have the president saying, we got to remedy this. I want the House and Senate to come up with a bill to slap this down. And we've seen this before with the Lilly Ledbetter Act that Sam Alito authored the decision. The president passed a bill this past year that enshrined that in law. So there is this tension we're seeing, but it was a bit unsettling. And to see a very shy man like Sam Alito, he's just
it was a breach of etiquette. It was inappropriate. It was dangerous to make that. And I'm told that that preamble, with all due reverence or respect for was not actually in the text. So I think the president realized he was getting into deep water here.